Shalom. This is Deacon DeForest Smith with the House of the Lost Sheep of Israel and the King James Bible University. And today's lesson is titled Actions Are Weighed. As to today, on Juneteenth, our people believe we were free from bondage. But this is just another day for America to make big bucks on our ignorance of spirituality and set up a day for an ordinance to keep us pacified in the flesh. If we are still celebrating the ordinances of men and worshiping kings and princes that we believe have set us free, then we are still in bondage spiritually. Only our God of salvation can truly set us free, and that's through the obedience of his way. Will we wake up out of deep sleep, the death of the spirit, before we expire in this life? Second Ezra, chapter 16, verse 74 through 78. Hear, O ye my beloved, says the Creator. Behold, remember the days of trouble are at hand, at power, but I will deliver you from the same. Be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for God, Yahweh, is your guide, and the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts, says the Creator thy guide. Let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift up themselves, which we are prideful in these days. And that's was our main killer: pride and ignorance. Woe be unto them that are bound with their sins and covered with their iniquities, like as a field is covered over with bushes, and the path thereof covered with thorns, that no man may travel through. It is left undressed and is cast into the fire to be consumed therewith. 1 John chapter 2, verse 4. Many people profess that they know Yahweh, that they know God, but they're spiritually dead and ignorant to the true and one God of Israel, because they've learned many gods in these temples, in these idols that they go to worship every Sunday, instead of opening the book and learning about our history, our background, our heritage that was sent through the word of Yahweh. 1 John chapter 2, verse 4. He that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1 through 3. Woe to the rebellious children, says the Spirit of God, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering that sin, but not of my spirit, which is righteousness and that light, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, into bondage in those houses, in those buildings, those whorehouses, in those prisons, which is called the churches, and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, the king of sin, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt in bondage and in their own wicked minds. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. Second Ezra chapter 15, verse 24 through 27. Woe to them that sin, that keep evil thoughts, and keep not my commandments, says the Creator. I will not spare them. Go your way, ye children, from the power, from the hand. Defile not my sanctuary. For the Creator knoweth all them that sin against him, and therefore delivereth he them unto death and destruction. For now are the plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them. For Yahweh shall not deliver you. In these days and ordinances that they give us are plagues, because they eat us up and they keep us defiled. For Yahweh shall not deliver you, because ye have sinned against him. And they are vanity of our minds. So he gonna give us, we want vanity, he gonna give us vanity. And he gonna disregard you in the end. Ecclesiasticus, Sirach, chapter 15, verse 14 and 16 through 20. Verse 14. He himself made man from the beginning and left him in the hand of his counsel. He hath set fire and water before thee in the presence of thee. Stretch forth thy hand, thy power, unto whether thou wilt. So he don't want robots. He want a willing offering, that free will offering. Before man is life and death, and whether him like it shall be given him. For the wisdom of the Creator is great, and he is mighty in power, and behold of all things, and remembereth all things. And his eyes, his understanding are upon them that fear him, that desire him. And he knoweth every work of man. He hath commanded no man to do wickedly, neither hath he given any man license to sin. So when you say God knows your heart, trust me, he knows your heart. Isaiah 63, chapter 63, verse 4 through 9. And he knows if you on which side of the plumb line you on, if you obeying his word, or if you disregarding his word, despising it or mocking it. For the day of Isaiah chapter 63, verse 4, for the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. And I looked, and there was none to help, and I wondered that there was none to uphold. Therefore mine own arm brought salvation unto me, and my fury it upheld me. And I will tread down the people in mine anger, and make them drunk in my fury. And I will bring down their strength to the earth. I will mention the loving kindness of the Spirit of God and the praises of the Spirit of God, the confessions of the Spirit of God, according to all that the Spirit of God hath bestowed on us, and the great goodness toward the house of Israel, not towards the whole world, but unto Israel, those faithful servants that follow him wherever he leads us, which he hath bestowed on them according to his mercies and according to the multitude of his loving kindnesses. For he said, surely they are my people, children that will not lie. So he was their savior. So we can't be in the flesh, because the flesh is a lie, liars. All men are liars if we are in the flesh. Verse 9, in all their affliction he was afflicted, and the angel, the messenger of his presence, saved them. In his love and in his pity, the promise and his grace, he redeemed them, and he bare them and carried them all the days of old. Ecclesiasticus, Sirach, chapter 5, verse 2 through 4, verse 10 and 13 through 15. And these are our instructions, so we won't be found liars. Follow not thine own mind and thy strength, to walk in the ways of thy heart, and say not, who shall control me for my works? For the Creator will surely revenge thy pride. And that's a big thing too. This whole month they've been celebrating Pride Month, but they will get their recompense in the end. Verse 4, say not, I have sinned, and what harm hath happened unto me? For the Creator is long-suffering. He will in no wise let thee go. Verse 10, be steadfast in thy understanding, and let thy word be the same. Verse 13 through 15, honor and shame is in talk, and the tongue of man is his fall. Be not called a whisperer, and lie not in wait with thy tongue. For a foul shame is upon the thief, and an evil condemnation upon the double tongue. That's that serpent's tongue. Be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small. So we must search out wisdom from the words in this book, our book of remembrance. So we won't have that ignorance, and we won't go astray, and we won't have a double tongue, not knowing what we're talking about when we are asked about about this book, or about wisdom. Isaiah chapter 45, verse 17. And we must not be ignorant like those that are on the other side of the plumb line, that will speak boastfully, thinking that the world in scripture is talking about the whole world, when it's only talking about Israel. If you do your precepts and diligently seek out what John 3:16 is really speaking about. Because many men greatly err on that one scripture. So be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small. Isaiah 45, verse 17. But Israel shall be saved in the Spirit of God with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4 through 5. And these are actions that people do when trying to teach, and those actions will be weighed. They err in saying that it's a triune God, that it's three gods, but they're all in one, which is a lie. Be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4 through 5. Hear, O Israel, the Spirit of God, our guide, is one spirit. And thou shalt love, promise the Spirit of God, thy God, with all thine heart and with all thy soul and with all thy might. So you're going to give your all to that one that was sent. And he is in the Father. So they are one. There's no three. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 17 through 18. And we also have a problem with pride, being ignorant in these streets, which is a small matter, but it's great in Israel because we deceive ourselves by killing each other and not loving each other, not having compassion for one another. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. So we teach the ignorant and we teach the poor. We don't get angry and hate our brothers in our heart. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love, promise thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Spirit of God. Ecclesiasticus chapter 28, 1 through 7, 9 through 10, 14 through 16, verse 18, 22 through 23, and 25 through 26. He that revengeth shall find vengeance from the Creator, and he will surely keep his sins in remembrance. Forgive thy neighbor the hurt that he hath done unto thee, so shall thy sins also be forgiven when thou prayest. Because if you don't, your prayer gonna be an abomination to him. One man beareth hatred against another, and doth he seek pardon from the Creator. That's that double tongue. He showeth no mercy to a man which is like himself, and doth he ask forgiveness of his own sins? Because you're no better than the dust, your neighbor, because we all are dust. Until we come in the image of God and be reformed with that water and shaping in his image, then we're apt to teach. Verse 5, if he that is but flesh nourisheth hatred, who will entreat for pardon of his sins? Remember thy end, and let enmity cease. Remember corruption and death, and abide in the commandments, which is life and eternity. Remember the commandments and bear no malice to thy neighbor. Remember the covenant of the highest, and wink at ignorance. But instead we wink at sin and we love it. We see sin and we don't correct it. We just let it go. So it builds up sin upon sin. And then we've built a sinful house, a corrupted house that Yahweh can't dwell in because he can't look upon iniquity. Verse 9, a sinful man disquieteth friends and maketh debate among them that be at peace. As the matter of the fire is, so it burneth, and as a man's strength is, so is his wrath. And according to his riches, his anger riseth, and the stronger they are which contend, the more they will be inflamed. And that's what pride brings. The more riches and honor you get in this life, the more you despise and hate those that's not rich and honored. Instead of helping your brother get on the same level as you and giving him knowledge or wisdom. Verse 14, a backbiting tongue hath disquieted many and driven them from nation to nation. Strong cities have it pulled down and overthrown the houses of great men. A backbiting tongue have cast out virtuous women, the spirit of wisdom, and deprived them of their labors. Whoso hearken unto it shall never find rest and never dwell quietly. Verse 18, many have fallen by the edge of the sword, but not so many as have fallen by the tongue. Verse 22 and 23, it shall not have rule over them that fear Yahweh, neither shall they be burnt with the flame thereof. Because we're going to circumcise our tongue and we're going to speak only the words of Yahweh, which he hath commanded us to speak. Such as forsake the Creator shall fall into it, and it shall burn in them and not be quenched. It shall be sent upon them as a lion and devour them as a leopard. Verse 25, and weigh thy words in a balance and make a door and bar for thy mouth. Beware thou slide not by it, lest thou fall before him that lieth in wait. James chapter 3, verse 5 through 6. Even so, the tongue is a little member and boasts of great things. Behold, remember how great a matter a little fire kindleth. And the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity, acts of sin. So is the tongue among our members, that it defileth the whole body, and setteth on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire of hell. So we must depart from our own thoughts and our own ways, because hell was even cast into the lake of fire. Because of our actions, they are weighed. And Yahweh sees all and hears all. Ecclesiasticus chapter 3, verse 24 through 28 and 31. Verse 24. For many are deceived by their own vain opinion, and in evil suspicion have overthrown their judgment, their teachings and doctrines. Without eyes, without understanding, thou shalt want light. Profess not the knowledge, therefore, that thou hast not. So don't be a liar. A stubborn heart shall fare evil at the last, and he that loveth danger shall perish therein. An obstinate heart shall be laden with sorrows, and the wicked man shall heap sin upon sin. In the punishment of the proud there is no remedy, for the plant of wickedness hath taken root in him. Verse 31. And he that requiteth good turns is mindful of that which may come hereafter. And when he falleth, he shall find a stay. So we must find wisdom so we can find rest in this wicked world. Ecclesiasticus chapter 37, verse 18. And be mindful of the things that we say and do. And we can only do that through wisdom. If not, we're going to boast in our own selves, which is pride. And pride and wisdom don't mix. Verse 18 of Sirach chapter 37. Four manner of things appear, good and evil, life and death, but the tongue ruleth over them continually. So which one are you going to choose? Which side of the plumb line will you be? John chapter 17, verse 9. Will you be a part of the world of iniquity, which boasts and are prideful in tongue? Or will you be part of the meek that have circumcised their tongue? And will be part of Israel, the world without end. I pray for them. I pray for them, which is Israel, the world without end. World without end. I pray not for the world, which is the world of iniquity, which is prideful in the tongue, but for them which thou hast given me, for they are thine. Job chapter 4, verse 3 through 4 and 7 through 9. Behold, remember, thou hast instructed many, and thou hast strengthened the weak hands. Thy words have upholden him that was fallen, and thou hast strengthened the feeble knees. But now it is come upon thee, and thou faintest. It toucheth thee, and thou art troubled. Verse 7, remember, I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off? Even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same. By the blast of Yahweh they perish, and by the breath of his nostrils are they consumed, because they have no covering, and they cover themselves with the dust, which is carried to and fro by every wind of doctrine. And they have been given up by Yahweh because he don't concern himself with foolishness. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 6 through 9. But he covers those that he delight in with the spirit of his righteousness and his glory. Verse 6, humble yourselves therefore under the mighty hand of Yahweh, that he may exalt you in due time, casting all your care upon him, for he careth for you. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour, whom resist steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world. Job 20, verse 4 through 5, and 26, and 28 through 29. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment? All darkness, verse 26, all darkness shall be hid in his secret places. A fire not blown shall consume him. It shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. Verse 28 through 29. The increase of his house shall depart, and his goods shall flow away in the day of his wrath. This is the portion of a wicked man from Yahweh, and the heritage appointed unto him by Yahweh. And we can see that today. We have no heritage because Yahweh has put us in these conditions so that we can come back to him and follow him, and we can be a humble servant unto him. But some won't choose to humble themselves. They're stuck in their pride, and they're stuck in this flesh, and they think it's boring to be a servant or humble themselves unto Yahweh under his righteousness. And they think this life is more brilliant, or they think it's more excitement to be in this world, which will be destroyed in the end with them. 2nd Esdras chapter 7, verse 10 through 12. Second Esdras chapter 7, verse 10 through 12. And I said, it is so, Creator. Then said he unto me, even so also is Israel's portion, because for their sakes I made the world. And when Adam transgressed my statutes, then was decreed that now is done. Then were the entrances of this world made narrow, full of sorrow and travail. They think that's more better than to be humbled, because they think being humbled is boring. They are but few and evil, full of perils and very painful. And our people love it. I don't know why, but they do. They think the Bible, the book of remembrance, is a comic book, and they think it's a game. They truly do. I've seen and I've read posts where People say they rather go to hell than to go to heaven because they say heaven is going to be boring and all you're going to be doing is worshiping God every day. And that's all vanity of the mind. And believe those actions are being weighed and they going to reap what they sow in the end. And God will give them up to their own vanities. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 1 through 4, and verse 6 and 8 through 10. Now therefore hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments, teachings, and doctrines, which I teach you, for to do them that ye may live, and go in and possess the land which the Spirit of God, thy guide of your fathers, giveth you. But they don't want that land. They don't want that knowledge. They don't want to learn now so we can build ourselves spiritually up into that new man that will be accepted in the end. They want to stay in filth. They want to stay in their sins and celebrate Juneteenth because they believe that they already free and they free to do what they will. Ye shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall you diminish aught from it, that ye may keep the commandments of the Spirit of God your God, which I command you. But they rather instead worship on one day, on a Sunday, or even those that only go to church on Easter, which is adding to the word, and believe they all they got to do is believe in a man, which is also adding to the word, and they're saved. Your eyes have seen what the Spirit of God did because of Baal Peor. For all the men that follow Baal Peor, the Spirit of God, thy guide, hath destroyed them from among you, and they destroyed for that lack of knowledge. But ye that did cleave unto the Spirit of God, your guide, are alive, every one of you this day. Verse 6, keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations. So that wisdom is going to give you guidance in your eyes to depart from those wicked people, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. Verse 8, and what nation is there so great that have statutes and judgments, teachings and doctrines, so righteous as all this law, which I set before you this day? But they want to keep their own law. They want to keep their own ordinances that have been set up by the enemy. Only take heed to thyself and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes, thine understanding have seen, and lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life. But teach them thy sons and thy sons' sons. And that's what we're lacking, because God's righteousness is not in our heart as a nation of people. And we teach our sons vanity and iniquity. So it keeps multiplying from generation to generation. So he has to overturn those and overturn them until he finds that plant that he wants. Verse 10, especially the day that thou stoodest before the Spirit of God, thy God, in Horeb, when the Spirit of God said unto me, gather me the people together, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, and that they may teach their children. So we made that promise. We made that covenant, but we breaking it day in and day out. So he breaking us day in and day out. Genesis chapter 49, verse 1 through 2. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. And we befallen slowly and slowly into that pit. Gather yourselves together and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father. But most won't hearken. So we go astray. And we have no God. We put our strength and our guidance in idols, which cannot save. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 1 through 7. My son, my servant, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck. Write them upon the table of thine heart. So shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of Yahweh and men. Trust in the Spirit of God with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thine own eyes, or understanding. Fear the Spirit of God and depart from evil. Psalms 119, 104 through 107, 106. And when I tell people about precepts, they have no idea about it. They look at me like I'm a fool. One even told me that how are we going to understand if we read the book? How are we going to understand if we have to start in Genesis, if the instructions of how to understand is all the way in Isaiah? And I told them, because if you humble your heart and really want to learn, then Yahweh will send you a messenger to guide you to read how to read this book. But they still want to argue and not understand the words that's coming out of my mouth aren't from me, but they're from above and not below. But they still have that carnal mind and that mixed doctrine, and their eyes are blind still, so they won't get it. Through thy precepts I get understanding. Therefore I hate every false way. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. So you're going to be guided to Isaiah 34:16 to learn the precepts, the foundation of how to understand this book and get out of the carnal mind and into the spiritual realm. Verse 106, I have sworn and I will perform it, that I will keep thy righteous judgments, because the only way we can worship him is through spirit and in truth, not through our own vain carnal minds of understanding the book, because then it's no use to us. and we're still in this world as how the world sees this book of remembrance. They don't even know it's a book of remembrance. They just think it's a Bible. Romans chapter 9, verse 6 through 8. Verse 6, not as though the word of Yahweh have taken none effect, for they are not all Israel, which are of Israel. Neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children, but in Isaac shall thy seed be called. So those are the ones that he called together to hear and to hearken unto the word that's spoken through wisdom. That is, they which are the children of the flesh, these are not the children of Yahweh, but the children of the promise of his love are counted for the seed. Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 1 through 18. If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and giveth thee a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder come to pass, whereof he spake unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods, which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams, for the Spirit of God, your guide, proveth you, to know whether ye love the Spirit of God, your guide, with all your heart and with all your soul. Ye shall walk after the Spirit of God, your guide, and fear him, and keep his commandments, and obey his voice, and ye shall serve him and cleave unto him. And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he has spoken to turn you away from the Spirit of God, your guide, which brought you out of the land of Egypt and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust thee out of the way which the Spirit of God thy guide commanded thee to walk in. So shalt thou put the evil away from the midst of thee. If thy brother, the son of thy mother, or thy son or thy daughter, or the wife of thy bosom, or thy friend, which is as thine own soul, entice thee secretly, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which thou hast not known, thou nor thy fathers, namely of the gods of the people which are round about you, nigh unto thee, or afar off from thee, from the one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth, thou shalt not consent unto him, nor hearken unto him, neither shall thine eye understanding pity him, neither shalt thou spare, neither shalt thou conceal him, but thou shalt surely kill him. Thine hand shall be first upon him to put him to death, thy power, and afterwards the hands of all the power of all the people, and thou shalt stone him with stones, which is these words, that he die, because he hath sought to thrust thee away from the Spirit of God thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt of bondage, from the house of bondage. And all Israel shall hear and fear and desire, and shall do no more any such wickedness as this is among you. If thou shalt hear say in if thou shalt hear say in one of thy cities, which the Spirit of thy God hath given thee to dwell there, saying, certain men, the children of Belial, are gone out from among you, and have withdrawn the inhabitants of their city, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which ye have not known. Then shalt thou inquire and make search and ask diligently, and behold, remember if it be truth and the thing certain that such abomination is wrought among you, thou shalt surely smite the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, destroying it utterly, and all that is therein, and the cattle thereof with the edge of the sword. And thou shalt gather all the spoil of it into the midst of the street thereof, and shalt burn with fire the city, and all the spoil thereof every whit. For the Spirit of God thy guide, and it shall be in heap forever. It shall not be built again. And there shall cleave not of the cursed thing to thine hand, thy power, that the Spirit of God may turn from fierceness of his anger and show thee mercy, and have compassion upon thee, and multiply thee as he has sworn unto thy fathers. When thou shalt hearken to the voice of the Spirit of God thy guide, to keep all his commandments, which I command thee this day, to do that which is right in the understanding of the Spirit of God thy guide. So we must clean up. We got to do some cleaning, some house cleaning, because that is a warning to us. That is a gospel. That is a message given to all those idolaters and those that lead you astray. Those are the winds of, of many doctrines, those spirits that are within those people that are trying to lead you to those whorehouses. We must set apart those people, depart from those people, and be dead. They are dead to us, and we are dead to them, because we're going to kill them with the word, and they're going to separate. They can't stand the word of truth because they love folly. Psalms 101, verse 3 through 8. I will set no wicked thing before mine eyes, my understanding. I hate the work of them that turn aside. It shall not cleave to me. A forward heart shall depart from me. I will not know a wicked person. Whoso privily slandereth his neighbor, him will I cut off. Him that have an high look and a proud heart will not I suffer. Mine eyes understanding shall be upon the faithful of the land, that they may dwell with me. He that walketh in a perfect way, he shall serve me. He that worketh deceit shall not dwell within my house. He that telleth lies shall not tarry in my sight. I will early destroy all the wicked of the land, that I may cut off all wicked doers from the city of the Spirit of God. Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 11 through 14 and 17 through 21. Have a nation changed their gods, which are yet not gods, so those idols? But my people have changed their glory for that which doth not profit. And you can see it today. They go from Jesus to Buddha, and Buddha back to Jesus, because whatever is in style, they wear them crosses for Tammuz, and they wear those stones the jasmine stones with the Buddha heads on it that's engraved in gold. And those are the fashions of today, but they're idols and they changing them like they change clothes. Be astonished, O ye heavens, at this, and be horribly afraid. Be ye very desolate, says the Spirit of God. For my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me of the fountain of living waters, that wisdom and understanding that gives you life, and hewed them out cisterns, broken cisterns that can't hold no water, no knowledge. Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? Because we use the vanity of our own minds and we are being trapped, and the prey is devouring us. Verse 17, hast thou not procured this unto thyself, and that thou hast forsaken the Spirit of God thy guide when he led thee by the way? So instead of being led by the way, we going off path, and that roaring lion that's lying and waiting for us, as soon as we go astray, he gets us. And now what hast thou to do in the way of Egypt, to drink the waters of Syor? Or what hast thou to do in the way of Assyria, to drink the waters of the river? Thine own wickedness shall correct thee. Thy backsliding shall reprove thee. Know therefore and see that it is an evil thing and bitter, that thou hast forsaken the Spirit of God thy guide, and that my fear is not in thee, my desire is not in thee, says the Creator thy guide of hosts. For of old time I have broken thy yoke and burst thy bands, and thou sayest, I will not transgress, when upon every high hill and under every green tree thou wanderest, playing the harlot. So we become liars, and he know we lied to him. Yet I have planted thee a noble vine, holy, a right seed. How then art thou turned into the degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me? James chapter 2, verse 8 through 12 and 17 through 18. If you fulfill the royal law according to the scripture, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, ye do well. But if you have respect to persons, ye commit sin, and are convicted of the law as transgressors. For whosoever shall keep the whole law and yet offend in one point, he is guilty of all. For he that said, do not commit adultery, said also, do not kill. Now if thou commit no adultery, yet if thou kill, thou art become a transgressor of the law. So speak ye, and so do, as they that shall be judged by the law of liberty. Verse 17 through 18. Even so, faith, if it have not works, is dead being alone. Yea, a man may say, thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. So your works is your knowledge, and your having that understanding to speak the words that are commanded by our guide. And we're going to be guided. Our lips are going to be guided, because we're not going to use our own tongue, because our tongue is full of iniquity. And if you use our tongue and say that Yahweh is going to accept us for who we are and we don't have to change, we don't have to do no works, we don't have to study to show ourselves approved. All we have to do is believe, then we are dead. And we have no faith because we hope in things that are seen. We hoping in the flesh to make it. Genesis chapter 6, verse 5 and 12 through 13 and 17. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Verse 12. And Yahweh looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh have corrupted his way upon the earth. So that's why we can't just come as we are. We must have works with faith. And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me in the presence of me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, remember, I will destroy them with the earth. Verse 17, and behold, remember, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. So you don't want to be caught in this flood of doctrines, of understanding, the flood of knowledge, because those waters will sweep you away and you'll be carried by the wind because the wind blows the water. But we must be covered or stand up on that single rock, which is Christ, and build up our spiritual house so he can dwell in it and he protects us from all things and put our faith and our trust in him. Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 35 and 37. But those that are in those floods, yet thou sayest, because I am innocent, surely his anger shall turn from me. Behold, remember, I will plead with thee because thou sayest, I have not sinned. Verse 37, yea, thou shalt go forth from him, and thy hands upon thine head, for the Spirit of God hath rejected thy confidences, and thou shalt not prosper in them. So you're going to be swept. And that house that's built on sand is going to be washed away with the wind and water. Job, no, 1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 1 through 10 and 18 through 20. And it came to pass when Samuel was old that he made his sons teachers over Israel. Now the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second Abiah. They were judges in Beersheba. And his sons walked not in his ways, but turned aside after lucre, and took bribes, and perverted judgment. They were Cretans. Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together, and came to Samuel unto Ramah. and said unto him, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. So they're gonna be caught in that flood. But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto the Spirit of God. And the Spirit of God said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people and all that they say unto thee. For they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. According to all the works which they have done since the day I brought them up out of Egypt, even unto this day, wherewith they have forsaken me and served other gods, so do they also unto thee. Now therefore hearken unto their voice, howbeit yet protest solemnly unto them, and show them the manner of the king that shall reign over them. And Samuel told all the words of the Spirit of God unto the people that asked of him a king. Verse 18 through 20. And ye shall cry out in that day because of your king, which ye shall have chosen you. And the Spirit of God will not hear you in that day. Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel. And they said, Nay, but we will have a king over us, that we also may be like all the nations, and that our king may judge, teach us, and go out before us and fight our battles. So instead of having the Spirit of God fight our battles and having that faith, we want a fleshly king that we can see, an idol, and we gonna be led to our destruction for it because our actions are being weighed. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 45 through 47. For I am the Spirit of God that bringeth you out, bringing you up out of the land of Egypt, out of bondage, to be your guide, bring you out of under those fleshly kings. You shall therefore be holy, separated, for I am holy, set apart. This is the law of the beast and of the fowl and of every living creature that moveth in the waters and of every creature that creepeth upon the earth, to make a difference between the unclean and the clean, and between the beast that may be eaten and the beast that may not be eaten. Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 26 through 31. So will you hearken unto those unclean beasts and want them to be set over you? Or will you hearken to God, Yahweh, our God, and learn from the clean that will build us up spiritually and we can be his delight? Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 26. As the thief is ashamed when he is found, so is the house of Israel ashamed. They, their kings, their princes, and their priests, and their prophets, saying to a stock, Thou art my father, and to a stone, Thou hast brought me forth, for they have turned their back unto me, and not their face. But in the time of their trouble they will say, Arise and save us. But where are thy gods, thy idols, that thou hast made thee, those unclean beasts? Let them arise if they can save thee in the time of thy trouble. For according to the number of thy cities are thy gods, O Judah, Wherefore will ye plead with me? Ye all have transgressed against me, says the Spirit of God. In vain have I smitten your children. They receive no correction. Your own sword have devoured your prophets like a destroying lion. O generation, see ye the word of the Spirit of God. Have I been a wilderness unto Israel, a land of darkness? Wherefore say my people, we are lords, we are masters. We will come no more unto thee. Micah chapter 3, verse 1 through 5 and 8 through 11. And I said, hear, I pray you, O heads of Jacob, and ye princes of the house of Israel. Is it not for you to know judgment, teachings, and doctrines, the righteousness of Yahweh, who hate the good and love the evil, who pluck off their skin from off them, and their flesh from off their bones, who also eat the flesh of my people, and flay their skin from off them, and they break their bones and chop them in pieces, as for the pot, and as flesh within the cauldron? Then shall they cry unto the Spirit of God, but he will not hear them. He will even hide his face from them at that time, as they have behaved themselves ill in their doings. Thus says the Spirit of God concerning the prophets that make my people err, that bite with their teeth and cry, peace, and he that putteth not into their mouths. They even prepare war against him. Verse 8. But truly I am full of power by the Spirit of God, and of judgment, teachings, and doctrines, and of might, to declare unto Jacob his transgression, and to Israel his sin. Hear this, I pray you, ye heads of the house of Jacob, and princesses of the house of Israel, that abhor judgment and pervert all equity. They build up Zion with blood, with life of iniquity, lifestyle of iniquity, and Jerusalem with iniquity. The heads thereof judge for reward, and the priests thereof teach for hire, and the prophets thereof divine for money. Yet will they lean upon the Spirit of God and say, is not the Spirit of God among us? None evil can come upon us. So they deceiving themselves and lying and became liars. They are Cretans, or AKA modern day Christians. Second Esdras chapter 15, verse 10 through 16, 18, and 21 through 23. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that Yahweh shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting in hell, and with a fearful constellation. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Verse 18. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Verse 21 through 23. Like as they do yet this day unto my chosen, so will I do also and recompense in their bosom. Thus says the Creator thy God, my right hand shall not spare the sinners, and my sword shall not cease over them that shed innocent blood, innocent life upon the earth. Same way Cain shed Abel's blood upon the earth because of jealousy and anger. The fire is gone forth from his wrath and hath consumed the foundations of the earth, and the sinners like the straw that is kindled. And this is the last script for tonight. 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 2 through 4 and 6 through 9. There is none holy, set apart as the Spirit of God, for there is none beside thee, neither is there any rock like our God. Talk no more so exceedingly proudly. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth. For the Spirit of God is a God of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. The bows of the mighty men are broken, and they that stumbled are girded with strength. Verse 6. The Spirit of God killeth and maketh alive. He bringeth down to the grave and bringeth up. The Spirit of God maketh poor and maketh rich. He bringeth low and lifteth up. He raiseth up the poor out of the dust, and lifted up the beggar from the dunghill, to set them among princes, and to make them inherit the throne of glory. For the pillars of the earth and are the Spirit of God's, and he hath set the world upon them. He will keep the feet of his saints, and the wicked shall be silent in darkness, for by strength shall no man prevail. And this is the end of actions are weighed. And I hope you got an understanding and understood that we can't talk our own words when teaching, and we can't guide ourselves through this darkness of life. But we must be guided by wisdom, which is the eternal light and the eternal life that we are hoping for in the end of this road of our journey. Shalom.